This is 8.3.1 wireless mobile and VPNs, brought to you by me and my TA, Bowser. All right, so at the end of this lesson, we should be able to identify some different methods of wireless connectivity, explain wireless threats and how to mitigate them, and explain how VPNs work. So up until now, we've dealt with networks that are wired together with central devices like hubs or switches, but there are multiple technologies that deliver data without running wires between network devices. Three primary technologies in use today would be Bluetooth, cellular, and wireless. So think about devices or software that use each of these technologies. So an example of stuff that uses Bluetooth, your AirPods, wireless headphones, wireless keyboards, wireless mice, wireless speakers, all of those use Bluetooth. Cellular, that would be phones, iPads, cars nowadays, medical alert devices. And then wireless, obviously things like laptops, phones, iPads, watches, home assistants, your Roomba vacuum, whatever. Okay, so let's talk about some Bluetooth threats. First, bluejacking. This is when a threat actor is going to send unsolicited messages to your Bluetooth-enabled mobile devices. So for example, on phones, it uses the Bluetooth connection instead of having your phone number. So if you respond to the message or you add the contact to your address book, you're going to give the threat actor the opportunity to connect to your devices because you are establishing them as a known contact. So threat actors can then control your device remotely. Another type of Bluetooth attack is called blue snarfing. And that's when you connect to a phone to steal passwords, images, contacts, or other data. Blue snarfing attacks can be really hard to detect because you might not notice that someone's stealing your data over Bluetooth. And then we've got blue bugging, which is when a threat actor poses as a device that you're looking to connect to, like say your Beats headphones. You might not even realize that you're connecting to a spoofed device, but once connected, your device and your data are accessible as long as the spoofed device is in your list of paired devices. So once the hacker installs software for continued access, at this point, the hacker can spy on your activity, access your sensitive information, and even use your device to impersonate you on any of the apps that are installed on that device, including apps that you use for online banking. All right, so let's talk about securing Bluetooth. It's important to note most devices have Bluetooth enabled by default, so you have to take an action to secure. Any application that has Bluetooth or system settings access is going to be able to turn it back on. So this is also going to include lots of apps that track your location. So these images on the slide are from iOS 11 back in 2022. If you have your phone on you, I would take it out and I would go and find the setting to turn off discoverability. And I'd also remind you that changing your Bluetooth settings is going to affect how you normally use accessories like earbuds or headphones. But I would say it's a little bit more important to make sure that your devices are hardened appropriately. So these three steps are common sense that are true for mobile device security, not just as it relates to Bluetooth, but because mobile phones have become people's primary device, you should develop good cyber habits and good cyber hygiene and apply what you're learning in cybersecurity to your own devices. So let's talk about cellular and wireless threats. Jamming devices that broadcast on a wide range of frequencies at once can disrupt everything from police radar to GPS systems. and they're illegal in a lot of countries. So in order to successfully jam the signal, the frequency, the modulation, and the power of the radio frequency jammer need to be equal to that of the device that the threat actor is seeking to disrupt. So this is kind of interesting, but back in 2015, a teacher tried using a cell phone jammer because he was really frustrated by his high school students using their phones in his class. Loved the idea. It did not go well for him, but most teachers could probably sympathize. If you're watching this, you should Google the article. All right, let's talk about rogue access points. Although it could potentially be set up by a well-intentioned person or a well-intentioned employee who's looking for a better wireless connection, it also presents an opportunity for attackers who are looking to gain access to an organization's network. So these access points are essentially Wi-Fi routers that have not been configured with the same security settings as the organization's Wi-Fi, which is why it took so long for us to get our computer lab set up last semester. Because that used to be the way that it was wired on different routers that were not configured with AISD's security settings. So we had to update that. An evil twin attack, the attacker can successfully lure a victim into connecting to a fake access point instead of the legitimate access point when it provides a stronger or a better signal to those customers. I don't believe it's far-fetched to say that smartphones have become all of our primary devices, or at least for most of y'all. And then Wi-Fi is usually our preferred method of accessing the internet because it saves us from having to use our cellular data, right? So if you are going to connect to public Wi-Fi, you need to have a heightened awareness of the risks of using public Wi-Fi. Using public Wi-Fi is like using a public bathroom. And I'll say that again. Using public Wi-Fi is like using a public bathroom. It's necessary sometimes. It's not the preferred first option for most people, but there are things you can do to secure yourself and your devices when you're using public Wi-Fi, and that's by doing things like turning on firewalls, making sure that you're actually connecting to the network you're supposed to be connecting to. Don't plug in any super sensitive information like I wouldn't fill out job applications on public Wi-Fi unless I was using a VPN. I would not go shopping on public Wi-Fi unless I was using a VPN. And then obviously use VPN software if you're going to use public Wi-Fi. So this slide just establishes the definition and the basic use cases for a VPN. The next couple of slides are going to detail how a VPN works and the pros and cons of using a VPN. So as a quick review, a VPN or a virtual private network is a tool that disguises your actual network IP addresses and encrypts the internet traffic between a device and a VPN server. So enterprises or corporations, this is important for them because employees need remote access to their organization network in order to do business. That is important when you're a remote employee or a hybrid employee or you travel a lot for work. And then obviously we know that we can use VPN for personal use. So this slide describes the typical situation of browsing the internet. The risks are primarily to your privacy because your internet service provider or your ISP will keep records of your IP address and the online activity associated with that IP address. It's also possible for someone on your network to see your IP address and see where you are going online. That could be your parents, your school, your IT department, the government, or a malicious actor. Take a look at item number 3. That's important because it kind of establishes most people don't need a VPN if your device is in a trusted network like your home or your school. So the HTTPS protocol encryption provides plenty of data security, so the only reason to use a VPN at home is to mask your IP address. But when you are using Wi-Fi at the airport, at a hotel, at a coffee shop, wherever, Follow the basic rules like not transmitting any private information and not shopping. But if you do, use a VPN. So a VPN is very much like a tunnel for your internet traffic, and it prevents outsiders from monitoring or changing your traffic. VPNs establish secure connections by encrypting data and then using virtual IP addresses so that the user's digital footprint and browsing activity can't be viewed by internet service providers or malicious actors. So these virtual IP addresses hide a device's true location. So using a VPN essentially shifts your trust from your internet service provider to the VPN. So it's important to make sure that you actually trust your VPN provider to protect your privacy. I saw last week there were 30 to 50 free VPN apps that were flagged on the Google Play Store for being, I can't remember exactly what the deal was, but basically they were all scams. So it's important to make sure that you do a little bit of research, a little bit of Googling when you're looking into the VPN client that you're going to choose and go with. I would make sure that whatever VPN provider you decide to go with, they have a zero logging policy. I use NordVPN. They have a zero logging policy, and that just ensures that none of your data is ever stored by the service. That would mean they will not store records of your personal information, of your web traffic, or of your downloads. And that provides strong data and privacy protections to you. Many security policies block network traffic from countries that have reputations for being sources of cybercrime. But threat actors from those countries can use a VPN to bypass location-based restrictions as well as hide their tracks.